19th-century colonial power France became increasingly interested in Ireland and the Indian Ocean. Europeans had not succeeded permanent foothold. The German Empire also had great interest in the African island. From the 19th century on, the so-called Madagascar Plan appeared again and again in anti-Semitic literature. It was planned to resettle all European Jews to the island. This would have made Madagascar a large ghetto, an island of death. After the defeat of France in June 1940, for the first time there seemed to be a possibility of implementing the plan, and serious work was done on it in Germany. However, to implement it, the British fleet would have had to be defeated, but this was never achieved. In September 1942, all work on the Madagascar Plan ceased. Even before World War II, there had been riots in Madagascar. From 1947, they became much more violent. After years of heavy fighting, in which more than 80,000 Malagasy died, France could no longer hold its colony. The colonial power simply no longer had the resources to keep up the power because of the two world wars. On June 26, 1960, Madagascar became independent. The country's first president was Philip Rajadhana, who ruled for 10 years. Today, only a small part of Madagascar's wealth remains. The colonial period exploited the island. Scientists fear that in the next few decades the last rainforests on the island could also disappear, and with them many unique species. Nature protection is a constitutional goal, but as long as the population lives below the poverty line it can hardly be implemented. Every day, forests are cleared in Madagascar to grow food and wood is burned because electricity is too expensive on the island. Madagascar is one of the poorest countries in the world. Exploitation during colonial times and corrupt governments in later years have resulted in more than two-thirds of Madagascans living below poverty level. For years there has not been enough food on the island and Madagascar has had to import much of it, including rice, its very staple food. Madagascar is a very good example that due to European colonial history, in Madagascar we have a birth rate of 31.981 births per 100 people, which shows a decline of 0.86% if we compare the numbers of 2020 with it. In 2020 Madagascar had a birth rate of 32.100 births per 100 people. The decline is driven by a high fertility rate of 4.11 births per woman. If we compare the birth rate to Germany, we can see that there are less births per 100 people. In Germany we have 9.389 births per 1,000 people and 1.54 births per woman. This enormous difference in birth rate is due to different living standards and other values of life and the future.